As we go through this process, and we have research that says across various demographics, across various schools and teachers based on experience level and all that, we're seeing consistently that teachers are struggling to get kids engaged. How do you see that being an impact on student success with what you guys do?
To me, when I walk into a classroom, I'm looking to see how many kids are engaged and how they're engaged. I don't care if they're under a table. I don't care if they're on the table. I want to see them engaged with a little noise of learning going on. And so there's not a place that you don't, in other words, I want to leave that room saying 70% are engaged, 90% are engaged. Why the ones not engaged that's there? So engagement to me was the first thing I started looking for when I looked in classrooms. And after that, there's a lot of pieces that you put in place. So to let you know, for 20-something years before people were looking for engagement, I knew that was what has to happen. Now, when you want to, and I hate the word test scores, because I think it's not about tests, it's about ways we train kids to where they can master specific standards and fundamentals. And so once you do that, if you've got to start with engagement, then there's a lot of other things that's going on, because that's where the rubber hits the road to where learning occurs. It occurs in classrooms, it occurs with teachers, and it occurs first by getting kids engaged. Now, after that, you can have totally engaged kids, but if they're not engaged with teaching of the standards, and if they're not learning the standards, then you just have a bunch of engaged kids that are not learning.
They may not be engaged correctly.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we can have engagement. I can be engaged, but I'm not engaged on what you're trying to pass along.
Right.
So we have to definitely work with our teachers to make sure we get the kids engaged first, and then make sure we're engaging them on the proper standards and understanding and mastery of those standards. I think that falls right in line with what you guys do every day and
Absolutely.
what we do every day, and working with teachers and administrators to help through that process.
Absolutely. And kind of to bring your company into this, Standard for Success, we've devised an instrument that will look at all the data points of a school. So we call it Blueprint for Success. And what we want to be able to do is to make that as a giant roadmap. So in that roadmap, if you don't know where you are, you can't get to your destination.
Absolutely.
So within that, your piece fits in beautifully. So we plug that into our assessment, and we have a number of questions that we ask, which allows us to know what's happening with engagement and all the other 122 points, 9 different categories. So it's an overall assessment, but it gives you the plans for a world-class school.
And I love the way that you guys collect and curate the data in a transparent manner, to share it with the leadership, to let them know this is really what we saw. This is what was self-reported through the surveys from the parents and the students and the staff. And then you look at it and see, okay, what they said, is it really what's happening? And I love how you guys share that and bring it all together to help drive success for the students and for the schools you work with.
Absolutely. And I guess we need to throw several other kind of things in there. You really have to not only engage kids, but they have to be inspired. And so that's got to be a piece of it too. And you have to figure out how to inspire teachers, inspire students, and I like that word over motivate. Motivate to me is something that you orchestrate. Inspire is something that you put into other people's hearts, you know. And so to me, the idea is you get this into the kids' hearts, you get it into the teachers' hearts, because that's where it's got to be successful. And so the piece that you have is after you do the culture, and you got to have your culture in place and your leadership, and then the piece that you have is the absolute most important piece that has to be delivered. Now, one of the things I like to do is when I go in a classroom, you don't have time when you're going into 50 classrooms. So you really got to be strong real quick and find out what's really going on. I like to find a kid that I think might be struggling, and then I like to kneel down by that kid, and I like to ask him, what are you doing? And he'll tell me, and I'll say, can you teach me how to do that? You know. So now, if he can teach me how to do that, then what I know is that he's got it. Is covered, and so the standard is being delivered in the right way. So again, if they are not delivering standards, if it's not being, that will never be a great school.
So it's great to hear what you guys are doing, and what it aligns perfectly with what we're doing. Our goal is to help schools foster and develop better teachers, better students and a better world. And it's right in line with what you're doing here at Blue Ribbon. And so we appreciate the partnership and the opportunity to be involved.
And we're excited about you guys because that's something that I have worked on for years, and I'm just beginning to figure some of the stuff out with that, is to, in other words, how do we put that together? And we have some great people down here from all over the country, and they're beginning to use the concept of it's got to be done in the classroom, and standards have to be taught, and your ability to measure that is phenomenal. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the rest of the conference.